we'll get started to value
Recording in
time.
Progress.
And then I just want to say a big thank you. Welcome to everybody who tuned in. There's more that are going to be hopping on as we go. There's about 120, 130 people that registered for this. So today's topic is all about radio. And I have three powerhouse people, literal icons in the industry. Matt Wagner is one of the guy. If you want to be in real estate and be on the radio and television, his team helps you do that at a massive level. They have mega reach, and the talent that they have with true leaders like dominating the local market on the radio come from working with Matt. And speaking of people that work with Matt, two of them on the show right now today is Rob Gulpey, who's number two. I don't want to get these stats wrong. Number two REMAX large team in the world. I'm sure things fluctuate. Maybe number one now. I don't know what you're at. But last year, I know you did over 1,100 deals, which is astonishing and not an easy feat. And then Goran, who, if I was to say I have my top three people in the industry, Goran is in the top three, and I don't even know who the other two are. Goran is just one of my favorite industry leaders. He's number one broker owner here in Canada, and then number 9 large team worldwide, which is also phenomenal. Goran, the growth that I've seen you guys do, and I'm not going to say all of it came from radio, because obviously not one pillar is the key to the success. However, you can kind of track and measure which ones pull and which ones really amplify you. And I'd love to have the discussion today around how you guys leverage radio and the fear you had before starting, because I'm sure the commitment with the budget and the commitment with the contract and the commitment with creating the content and the fear and anxiety behind all of that, because there's other options. Like you could have doubled down on internet leads. You could have doubled down on your farm area. And so I want to have that discussion, but I think it'd be awesome to have Matt kind of lead the charge, because he has agents calling him all day, every day about like getting started and what the next steps are and why should they. And I guess we'll start with Matt just to hear your input.
Before Matt goes on, if I can say something, please.
Yeah.
And I'm going to speak a little bit, if I may, for Rob, because when Rob went on first, he went ahead of me with RATE, and we had RATE come down, Radio Television Experts. That's what RATE stands for. And we had one of the representatives come down, speak at one of our conferences, CCR, Cross Canada Referrals Conference. And true story, there was somebody in the room wanting to go with them. And as the representative walked away, Rob, you tell the story. Rob Golfi jumped out of his seat. He didn't wait till the break. He chased the guy out the door.
Yeah. Can you hear me, guys?
Yeah.
So what happened was somebody was talking to one of the Matt's representatives, and they were talking for a good half hour, and I was just sitting on the other side of the room waiting for them to finish. And because I realized then, and I've already started with Matt, but I was scared. I started with him probably about a year or two earlier than that. Then I kind of stopped because I was kind of doing both things, direct mail and then I was starting with the radio. But back to the conference, the little conference we're at, I waited for this representative to finish up their conversation with another person. And then as soon as they finished up, I grabbed him. I took him out of the room and took him down and says, "Get the contract out right now. I'm signing it." Get it. He's sitting there calling the main office, says, "I need a contract. I don't know this guy. This guy wants to sign right now." I didn't want to have anybody even squeeze themselves in. And I think the other person was kind of upset. And I mean, there was nothing to be upset about. I mean, I just took action. That's the difference between me and them.
About. I like that.
That has nothing to be.
You snooze, you lose.
That's right. I took action. That guy had his half hour. He should have taken that guy to the other room before I did. That's all I'm saying. So you snooze, you lose. That's it. And we've been here ever since. Matt, I think, I don't know, is it 10 years now that we've known each other? I don't know.
Yeah, it's gotta be.
I got to check the first time we started doing business, because and just a true story. I started with Matt and I was scared. It was very scary, just because I was doing direct mail and I was adding radio. And I was like, I was just, wasn't sure if my budget could handle it. And so I did it for, I don't know, I think just under 6 months. And I said, Matt, I got to take a break. But then I saw the Matt's representative, they explaining some of the new things that they had coming in. And then I went all in. I actually stopped all my direct farming mail, and I went full tilt with radio, and the numbers started. That's when our business started just climbing. So it was good for me to roll the dice on that. It was a tough one, but it was good.
Love it, Matt. Okay, so starting fresh, there's a mixed bag of people in the industry on the call right now. Some are just kind of getting started, liking the idea. Others have been in it 5 years, 20 years. So we have different people at different levels and different budgets and different fears and concerns. So if Rob had a fear of commitment when he was already crushing it, I'm sure a majority of people would have the same fear. So what can you tell us about radio to get over that fear?
Well, I think a couple of things. And again, thanks for having me on, Dan, and I'm honored to be. I've watched both Goran and Rob just explode and grow. It's been fun, the journey, to watch both of them not only overcome their fears, not just with me, but with other aspects of growth, and overcome those and grow. They're both, I love them both as brothers, and it's fun to watch where they are now. But everybody's a little bit different. I mean, some people are solo agents. Some people are happy with that. Some people are growing teams. Some people have a good team, and they've kind of hit that ceiling that they don't know what else they need to do to go to the next level. First is figure out where you're at, right? Radio is, I appreciate you saying that earlier in the call. It's not the reason that somebody goes from 100 to 1,000 transactions. It's an important ingredient that is all part of a process, right? It goes with several other aspects. But I would say for somebody on a very, very basic level, sometimes you need to cancel certain things out before you look at, should I even start this? So for instance, teams do very well with radio. If you don't have a team, what I would liken it to is if you had a restaurant, for example, and you were going to launch a radio campaign. If it's a small restaurant where you're the chef, you're the waiter, you're also the guy ringing the register, if you got more than 10 customers, you'd be buried. And a solo agent that tries to go off and start this would get buried too quickly, and they couldn't sustain it. It's better to grab the low-hanging fruit, build up a team, and then you're in a place where you could add that next layer that radio would be. And I think both Goran and Rob could speak to that because they were at that place. And then when you start looking at other options, then it becomes what's available in the market. And when I say that, it's different. When I started with Goran and with Rob previously and other agents 10 years ago, there was very few people on radio and TV. Now there may be 2, 3, 4 in a market. You really got to know your landscape. You got to know what you're up against. Could my message be better? And are there options and availability items that nobody else is doing that would make me different? That's also a factor to consider. But I think they could speak really well from the standpoint. I'd love to hear their perspectives of where they were when they started and what they would think a team would be at, knowing what they know now about where they're at. I've got my opinion, but they're actual agents in the trenches. Goran and Rob, I'd be curious to hear your perception on that.
The only mistake that I made is not doing it earlier. And how many times have we heard this in our lives? I should have done this earlier, such as should have bought Bitcoin earlier, should have done a lot of things earlier, should have bought more real estate. It is what it is. I'll never forget, I started January 4th. And I remember it clear as day. It was January 4th. And my broadcaster was on. My radio commercial was in the morning between 6:30 and 7:30, right? So don't laugh at me. True story. I remember 6:30. I'm in the suit every day. I'm in the office waiting for the phone to ring. Now, I could have been at home, but I'm an office kind of guy. So I'm in the office and the phone didn't ring. So I'm like, okay. Next day, I'm in the office. The phone doesn't ring. Now, I'm in the office because I'm a little bit freaking out because I was paying that time, I think, $5,000 or $6,000 a month. every month, right? And I'm like, 5,000-6,000 a month, right? And the phone didn't ring. Then the phone didn't ring. Then the phone didn't ring. I'm like, is this checking it? Like, is it working? Like checking my cell phone. And then, the phone started ringing. But I remember speaking to other people like Hatch in Dakota, North Dakota, and Fargo. He said his phone did ring for over a year. See, when people are listening to radio, it took me some time to realize this, right? Just like, we do billboards and bus shelters and all the other stuff that many of you do, but people are listening to the radio. Some of them are not inclined or not in a position to buy or sell real estate at that moment in their life. And they don't know anybody else that does. But when they do, you're going to be top of mind, right? We all know top of mind is first in line, right? So that happens down the road. It might not happen instantly, but it will happen. And consistency is the key. Consistency is the key. That's the most important part. And when they say that message, when the radio celebrity says, spoke to my friend Goran the other day, and he tells me the market is, or the market's doing this. People call me, they feel like they already know me, right? It makes that conversation that much more comfortable. I can tell you that it has grown our business significantly. We did over 800 homes last year. This year, we're in the pace to do well over 1,000. But, it's you layer it. You have TV, you've got radio, you've got, my budget now is, I can tell you, is 5 to 6 times what I was paying then. I don't even think about it now. I just see the invoice the Matt sends me, and I'm like, all right, it's just another bill. It's part of business, right? But now more than ever, it's dominance, right? And dominance in our business. If you're out there, you're going to dominate the business more now than ever. Listen, people are pulling back in their advertising. Why? Because the market slowed down, and they're like, I'm getting scared to spend the money. You cannot stop spending advertising. Those who advertise now more than ever will elevate their business like never before. In 2007, 2008, I guess we were in a recession because nobody told me, because I never paid attention. I didn't know we were in a recession. I just kept working, advertising and doing the business that was put forth in front of me. So radio definitely works, but it's like everything else. You have to layer it with other things.
I still want Rob to answer that question, but I want to kind of not jump ahead, but I do want to ask you the question, Goran. When the people come to you and they hear you on the radio, what's the type of message that you're playing on the radio that you find has resonated? Like it's a paid commercial spot, or it's a radio show?
No, it's not me. They don't hear me. They hear the local sports broadcaster say nice things about me, right? I'm going to tell you one thing. He says such nice things about me. When I'm listening to the radio in the morning, I blush. I'm being very serious. Like, I blush because it's not the way I think of myself that way, but he does, and he keeps, saying those things. So that's very important. But then we added a jingle on top, right? We added a jingle, and that jingle's playing all the time on the radio. So again, another source of layering on top. And we talk about the market, talk about, and it's simple radio messages. John and Mary, they live in Bell River. Bell River is an area, a suburb of Windsor, had trouble selling their home. They had their home listed with another brokerage. After 3 months, they called Team Goran, and Goran got the job done. Not only did he get the job done, he sold it above asking in a matter of days, right? Those are the kind of messages, and these are true success stories that we put out on a regular basis, right? Listed with somebody else, listing expired. They thought they could do it on their own. They couldn't. They called Goran, right? So, and it's not a 10, 15 second. It's a solid 60 seconds. 60 seconds on radio is like forever, right? 5 seconds, 15, 30 seconds, it doesn't do the trick because they listen to it, they cue out. 60 seconds is the magic or more, right? And sometimes they do go longer.
How often do you change that message, like the 60-second soundbite?
Again, that's Matt and his team. We've had one of the best Matt has a big crew of individuals, but the gentleman that takes care of us in Canada, he's a fabulous human. I can't tell you what a great guy he is. Big heart, smart. And basically, he just asks for success stories. We give him the stories, and then they put a spin on it themselves. It's really, I'm busy doing what I do. And to be, doing everything, you can't be all things to all people. So we let Matt and his team put the lingo together for all of us.
If you don't mind, Dan, if I could comment on something, piggyback off of what Goran said, and I'd love to hear Rob. Rob's got some amazing stories to tell himself on there. But a couple things kind of to recap what Goran said, I think it's valuable for people on the call to know is, number one, until you've got, I remember one time when a concert promoter that I worked with said, if I ever talk to somebody who's thinking of getting in the concert business, I ask him, would you put 50 grand in a paper bag and light a match to it and stare at it and watch it burn? He goes, if you can do that, you're ready for the concert business. And I say that we don't expect anyone to lose money. We're used to people making money, not losing money. But you've got to have the mindset that I'm willing to put, I'm at the place in my business that I could put money as an investment towards radio for 4 to 6 months to a longer time, that it will grow and it will work, not just expect immediate gratification. That's an important part of any business person, right? So and Goran was a good example of that. Rob was a good example of that. But the other thing was that we worked really hard to make our stuff not sound like radio spots. We make them sound like a part of the conversation. And there's a whole negotiation to doing that. Canada was very resistant at first, but we used other good examples that we worked in to show them how we do it. And they warmed up to that. So when you turn on the radio in Windsor, or in, how many cities now are you in, Rob? Like 5, 10, 50? I can't keep up. Rob keeps adding cities every month. But it sounds like a friend talking to a friend. And that's the element that really, combined with what Goran said, the stories, same thing with Rob, the stories that make it live and make it work, where you hear like a friend talking to a friend. That's what helps radio work in our case really, really differently there. But hopefully that adds some clarity to some of the stuff we said. And Dan, I'll let you cue up Rob with the question.
Yeah, well, Rob, we can go back to the original question that Goran was answering. I think you're muted right now, though.
I think that's it. Am I good?
There you go. Yep. Hey, buddy.
Okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's okay. I think there's noise in the background, so that's why you muted it. So anyways, Goran was going on about the starting days of like the fear of it, and then also touching on the type of content that he was creating. Of everything we were just talking about, was there any layer that you wanted to add value to that you could feel?
Yeah, you know what the greatest thing about is when they do the live commercial on the spot, a lot of the
Oh, you froze there, buddy.
time people. Can you guys? Are you?
Boy, there was a good tease.
Yeah, maybe ask Rob to turn his camera off, because he definitely has a face for radio. Maybe it'd be better. The broadcast might come.
All right. Okay. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about that. So when the great thing about this is that when they do the live commercial, they always end up going over a minute on it. So you're actually getting a lot more value. And they do record for bonuses that they give you for the commercials that they're doing a lot of the times. And they say that they do that and at different times of the day, so that for fill in. But we're well known in our market. We've been doing it for such a long time. Our brand is strong. Our brand actually got even stronger during COVID. And we just went through the roof during COVID. But I'll tell you one thing is that we know the older population, they listen to the radio, and a lot of them are selling now, and a lot of them are moving and retiring and everything else like that. And there is the younger population. I get it. Some of them, and most of them listen to to country radio. Like the old rock is the new rock is country. And the country radio stations, I can't believe the tuning in. And Matt is bang on right when it comes to him explaining how it works. When it comes to listeners, you should put, more emphasis on this station, more emphasis on this, more emphasis on this time of the day. Like, I would not have known any of that on my own if I was doing this. So I'll tell you, it's been great to be, part of this with this relationship with Matt and him helping me, and he basically seen me grow. So it's been awesome. I'll tell you, we're like a celebrity in our own market, which is fantastic because, and what the greatest thing about this radio is that it's not the people that are putting their house up for sale is going to call you. It's the people that are listening, telling those people, you got to go with Rob Golfi. You know what I mean? So the public is your biggest referral basis because they're the ones that are listening to the radio, and it's awesome. So now you've got thousands and thousands of people listening to the radio station all the time. Those people are listening to, if they know a friend that's thinking of selling, they're going to say, you got to go with Golfi. You got to go with Golfi. So it becomes the biggest referral network that you could ever imagine you have.
How do you repurpose the content, if you even do? Do you reuse it as sound bites for your social media? Or Rob, I know you run a podcast as well, which is a whole nother conversation. Similar story, but not really at all.
Rob does a great job with his talk show of putting it on LinkedIn.
We try to put little sound bites of it out there. Right now, I know that I think more than ever, the social media, you got to be on top of that. And so we use the radio, and we record every single radio show, and then we cut it up into pieces and put sound bites on it. And then we try to do other stuff on there just to make it relevant so people, they hear little bits and pieces of it, which through social media, but they know that we're on the radio. And now we're doing a blitz for people to listen and say, hey, listen, you want to know about what's happening in real estate? Listen to this station at whatever time. And so we're going to start promoting that to really get more listeners on the radio listening to the real estate show.
Oh, wow. I wonder if you could even just one day a month or something, go into the radio show and do a Facebook Live or an Instagram Live while in the lobby of the radio facility. That'd be a fun, and you could do like a little promotion, something tied in with it. Matt, I think you actually may even have some samples. If you do, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you do, if you share your screen, you can do share sound through the computer and it might sound clearer. But yeah, if you got some samples, I'd love to hear it. Oh, and you're also muted, your mic.
Okay.
Matt.
I could try this first and see how it sounds. And if not,
okay, yeah, do it regular.
Yeah, this is first what Goran was talking about when he's part of the conversation. This is one example.
And when you want to sell your house, you're looking to sell, doesn't matter what reason it is. If you're looking to downsize, get something a little more comfortable for your lifestyle, or looking to get something a little bit bigger, maybe get some more room for the kids. Maybe you want to get a couple extra dogs, bigger yard for them to run around in. Whatever situation you're in, Goran Todorovic and his team are going to make it smooth sailing for you. If you're looking to buy a house and you keep finding out that you're a little bit too late, an offer gets accepted before you can even get an offer in, talk to Goran about that too. He can get you first in line and get you immediate access to homes as soon as they hit the market. And when it comes time to sell, Goran's the guy who's going to get you more money than anybody else. He's going to take the stress away and make sure that your home is sold right on time. He guarantees to sell your house at a price and deadline you agree to, or he's going to step in and buy it himself. He doesn't want you to be stressed out. And again, the stress of selling can also be added when there's other issues. If you're selling the home of a loved one, like happened with Pat. Pat was selling his mom's home, and Goran understands that that's a tough situation. He worked through it and was able to get a great offer in no time. Do the same we're going to do. Talk to Goran today. You can Google Team Goran or find them online at teamgoran.com. That's team Goran.com and start packing.
Damn.
And when you want to sell your house.
Start with that.
Yeah, that was slick. That sounded really, I had to turn my volume up just a tad, but that was way better than
the magic is, if I can say something, look,
Yeah.
we've all, each and every one of us has done videos or some kind of a snippet where you're thinking of buying, selling real estate, call Team Goran and start packing. Or thinking, that's crap. No offense, because it's direct advertising us to them. This is not me. I'm not saying anything. Other people are saying nice things about me. That's where the magic is. That's the key. And this person is saying nice things about me. He's been a radio celebrity for years and years and years and years. And people know and trust them, right? And they're welcome when they hear their voice. Oh, that's so-and-so. And now this person is saying nice things about me. And he says, you know, when it's time to sell, I'm calling Team Goran. We're actually on, I think now 4 or 5 radios. I'm not actually sure because we're in Chatham also, but we've just listed one of the radio celebrities' houses, and we're going to be, you know, selling it very soon. Just the process of actually listing it, but that's the magic. They are the ones saying nice things, not us. And you know what? When we get calls, it's not like, can you come give me a estimate of value, or can you come appraise my house? No, it's, can you come list my house? I heard you on the radio. Can you come list my house? It's that much more powerful. And
I want to play one more. This is actually one of Rob's.
Please,
this actually incorporates the jingle that we created. And if you guys, I don't know if you guys any like country music at all, you might recognize the guy at the end.
Selling? Call the only real estate agent I would choose. Rob Golfi of REMAX Escarpment, the Golfi team. Janice and Ann had a cozy home in Thorold they wanted to sell. Rob used his strategic online marketing system and sold it in 4 days. Rob guarantees to sell your home. If needed, he'll let you out of the contract anytime. Google Rob Golfi or go online to robgolfi.com.
If your home needs to sell, oh, you don't try to call. That's robgolfi.com.
So, Rob, you want to explain who that is and how that combines with your country, with the loyalty of the audience?
Sorry, I missed that. Were you saying something to me, Matt?
Yeah. Do you want to explain who that? What's the that's country music?
That's Gary LeBox from the Roscoe Flats.
So how is that combined with your talent? That you also, because you've been the country talent for years.
Absolutely. People go, how the heck did you get him to endorse you? They're just like, just can't understand how that happened. Like,
oh no, Rob, if you turn your camera off, it might save the bandwidth, because I really want to hear your voice.
You know what? And excuse me. Sorry.
That's okay, man.
All right. Can you
Matt,
hear me okay there?
Yeah, we can now.
Hang on. I lost you guys.
That's okay.
But speak to them. I know about the country music audience and how that's different even than news talk audience, because news talk people want to be informed. But talk about the friend talking to friends about their friends.
They with Gary, I'll tell you, the listenership for country station is incredible. And right now, actually, we're looking at changing it to even add more to the country stations. But like I said, people endorse me that are listeners to tell people that are looking at selling their houses to use me. It just and just like you said, Matt, country station, they're very loyal and they don't change the station when they're listening. They keep it on, and so. It's been a great relationship with the country station, and we're with the number 1, number 2 country station in Canada. And it's right in the Hamilton area.
Something I would add too, Danny, that make what they do, it's an important element. Both Goran and Rob are excellent with this. They're very big about maintaining their relationships with their personalities. They really are their friends, and because of that, the way it's conveyed. You really do believe, like when I hear that personality in the morning, I believe that, like, I think Steve Bell's a great example. I mean, even though he's no longer on the air, he does other stuff for Goran too. You really believe like they're friends. Like
absolutely.
There's no phoniness about it.
Well, listen, we layer that, right? So he comes into the office. We take pictures. We go have lunch together. We take pictures. We have a office event. They come. We take photos with them. They're part of the team. They're part of the family. So people see that. They know it's not BS. It's not phony, that we're actually buddies, right? I mean, do I eat and have dinner with the guy regularly? No, I'm being honest, but 3-4 times a year, we get together, we take that opportunity, put it on social media, take photos, smile, whatever that is, and we get that up. But we do know each other extremely well. We know each other extremely well. I was supposed to be in their radio station a couple of weeks ago. I had to change some plans, but I'm going to be going in next week, and we're going to do on the radio, something live, me and them, a few of them, and my marketing crew is going to come. They're going to videotape it and again, splice it, send it out and so on. So people actually see that, I'm there with them and we're having fun, joking around and so on. That's the magic. You got to be real, right? And we are being real. A bit of advertising, of course, but you got to be real.
What's the frequency, Matt, of how many times a day does would you?
It really varies. Where possible, it's great that sometimes frequency is important, and whenever we can, we do that. But when it is available, because sometimes it's not always available, when we can make someone sound like a part of a conversation, we can get away with a lot less frequency than we normally would have to. But it just depends on the circumstance and what's available on that particular station. There's no one formula, right? But we figure out what's right for that right station and what frequency is necessary. It does vary per station and what approach is available. Some stations don't have endorsements available. Some don't do live reads like that. We figure out what is available, what can we do, and then we figure out what the best approach is to it.
And then is there a formula that you look at as far as like the radio, as far as demographics of how many listeners they have? Obviously, these would all be factors, but like, is there certain types of channels that you're like, oh, go for the news ones first, or the classical ones first, or the country ones first before you get into the new age pop type of, like, is there like a target to aim for, like best?
Yeah, I mean, you have to remember, who are you talking to? Like, do you want to talk to your kids, or do you want to talk to who your kids are listening to, or do you want to talk to who are the adults listening to, right? And so it really depends, and also depends on what's available. Sometimes if one station is really being dominated by several realtors, maybe wise to look at a different station where people aren't there. There's not always, same rules don't always apply to every single market, right? But in general, you want to think of yourself, if I'm the target, right? If I'm over 30, what am I listening to? And then is it a personality, or am I listening to music? Because sometimes you could find a boring personality, and this approach doesn't work. Really we take a lot of time to really research the person that we have deliver the message, because whoever's delivering it is either going to bond with an audience, or they're going to polarize an audience, or they're not going to care. So those are all kind of factors that we look at.
And so speaking of the law of averages, where if we could paint it with a broad stick, which radio stations do you feel like are like the ones to lean towards first? Classical, news, country, like just generally, I know it's case by case, each market, but like collectively on average, do you have an average like broomstick that you could swing around?
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, news talk seems obvious, right? Because it is older people that are listening to it. But sometimes those are usually the first places that a lot of agents go to. And because of that, it can get cluttered really fast. And so while that might be an obvious choice, sometimes there's other places that people they're not fishing in that can be just as productive. So it really, I mean, and again, like Rob said, in his market, country does really, really well. But in Goran's market, that country station is very small, very insignificant. So it really, and I hate to sound vague with this, but we're in 200 markets. I don't think there's any two markets that are exactly alike. So it really kind of depends on that particular city. There are some cities where you see billboards all over town of certain stations that advertise might be a good station because that's where people are listening to for news. So there's kind of an art behind it. And we've just learned to treat every single market as its own animal with what they can do.
And Rob, I muted you just because of the wind noise, but if you want to unmute after this question, so I want to ask both you and Goran, how do you guys plan on using radio for anything like promoting your client appreciation events or community goodwill or like other conversations that aren't necessarily dominant in the real estate? Do you guys leverage the radio for that type of stuff, or no? Is it only just real estate talk?
No. Can you hear me okay? All right,
yep.
Am I on?
Yep. You're good.
So the great thing that Matt does is we're always recruiting agents, and I know Goran is too. So we're both big, strong, growing our teams and everything. So they actually put a commercial together for the radio that makes it sound like we're recruiting agents, but it's also still marketing our business to get listings. So, which is great. So you're getting 2 for 1, sort of a mix in on that 1 minute commercial, and which really works really well when we're recruiting agents to come on board and join our team. And right now, especially with the markets going, we're finding a lot of good agents that have been in the business maybe 2 to 5 years, struggling. And so we're, talking to them, but that's a great big help. But also, I mean, it just, there's so many avenues, but especially with the recruiting, that it's been a great tool for us.
Yeah, I bet the recruiting would be a really good one on the radio.
I would tell you something else. Seminars do really well. For agents that have done seminars, radio's been a great way to promote them because then it gets a group together, and it's been very practical. So that's also another avenue that, besides recruiting, which is also a great
event. Man.
Warren, you've done charity events too. I know you have. And you've utilized.
Yeah, I have. I've done charity events. I'm planning a big one next year, a citywide event, inviting everybody, right, from the whole city. And then I'm going to have like a VIP section. And those who come in that says they're a Team Goran client, they go to that section. We're not even going to check if they are or not. If they say they are, they are. Go over there, then there'll be refreshments, drinks, and so on over there. But we're going to use that radio. But we've done it for, use radio for many things. And again, like Rob said, right? People are listening. They're hearing you involved. They see you're a good community leader, a good community contributor. People like that, right? And especially for charity events. I mean, give from your heart, give as much as you can, and God pays back tenfold.
I love the idea of a citywide event. That sounds massive.
It is. It's gonna be cool.
Goran only thinks big. He doesn't when he thinks.
You gotta think. You might as well think big. I got a couple of my agents on here smiling because they know it. But go big or go home. And again, I really truly believe now is the time when the market has shifted for market dominance in your area. If you're not dominating in your area, somebody else is, or somebody else will be very soon. Simple as that. So, maybe you don't want to dominate your area, and that's okay too, right? But I think, radio and layering it with TV. So just like we did the radio, Matt suggested I get in TV, and, Rob was doing it with Barbara Corcoran, the commercial. And, I'm in Windsor, Ontario. We cover Windsor, Chatham, and we're very much Americanized. We're right in the border, Shark's Tank. Everybody knows Barbara Corcoran, right? And so people get a kick out of it. They see me and Barbara on TV and so on. I get another layer that Matt provides, right? So you combine all that together. Like, honest to God, people see me on the street, or it's like they've known me forever. And I smile like I've known them forever. That's the beauty.
That's awesome, man. I want to backtrack on Matt with the seminars. So there's a term called evergreen webinar or evergreen seminar. And when you go to the landing page, it's like it talks about the webinar with the date and time, but it gives the people a choice of like today at 3, today at 5, tomorrow at 4, and it gives them a bunch of options. And one of the options is to get instant access to the recording. And it doesn't matter whether they choose today at 3 or get the recording, it's a recording and it looks live. So if they do choose today at 3, so that'd be a cool like piggyback if you guys ever do plan on leveraging the seminars on the radio. Circle back to me and I'll fill you in on how to set that up. But anyways, you can look it up yourself. There's tons of tools out there. It's called an Evergreen Webinar. And therefore, you don't have to set the date and time to always be there, camera, lights on, and trade your hour of time every other Thursday or once a month that you plan on doing this seminar. It's on autopilot. Set it and forget it. And you could always have that radio station just blasting to the URL for people to get enrolled.
If you don't mind, Dan, if I could share just one tip that might be helpful to everybody on the call, because I know some people might be in one little corner of Toronto, some might be solo agents, some might be, maybe radio might be a big ticket or might be so huge that maybe almost seem like that's out of my league, so to speak. There's a couple of quick steps everybody should have, and I think Goran and Rob embraced this immediately this last year. Your Google online presence should be your number one focus initially, immediately. Because if they can't, no matter how good your ads are, if they can't find you on Google or they go to your website and it doesn't have your call to action, or if it doesn't tell your story, it's throwing money away. Usually one of the first things I do when I do interviews with people that are thinking about radio, that's the first thing I do is I Google search them, look at their website, and I'll say, look, change this, change this, change this. And if they do it, generally they have success. If they don't, we won't even take them on, because even if we made people go, like maybe Rob and Goran, would you say now what percentage call you versus look you up first on Google?
I personally, I think they Google us first for sure. They and then there's no doubt about that. It's and we use the slogan sometimes, Google Golfi, just trying to get people to, because we know that that's what they're going to do. Everybody knows Google, and my last name's easy to spell, and they don't forget it, so they just Google it, and we're all over. You can, and I was in Europe, and I actually had somebody, a European person, Google Golfi, and it showed up in our market. Like they've never Googled us before and everything. I just wanted to see a different phone from a different country, and we showed up. So no matter where in the world anybody Googles us, they're gonna get Google Golfi. They're gonna get us. There's no doubt about that.
While we're chatting, though, oh, sorry, I did not mean to interrupt. But
no, go ahead.
While we're chatting, everybody in the comment section, put the city or area that you focus on. I want to follow up with everybody after the call just about your city and then the Google thing. So can you do me a favor, everybody who's like listening and wants to participate, type in the city or area that you really focus on, and then I'm going to print off a list and follow up with people afterwards.
It's funny you asked that question regarding Google. Google Analytics is big. We check it all the time. And the other day I got a hit how many people, your business on Google, how many views this month? I'm looking at it right now. 46,000 views this month, right? But I watch it every month. Now, listen, I'm not in a big city. Our population is 300,000 with the suburbs, right? But 46,000 to Google us in the last month, it's pretty big, right? Now, let's go a little bit deeper. We have almost 1,300 five-star Google reviews. How important is that, right? So again, it's another layer on top of that. So, we press on that hard. Call Google Team Goran, right? So that's amazing stats, and we just want to, push on that even harder. The phone still rings, but our online presence is bigger than ever.
Goran, dude, I just came up with an idea for you. For anybody who's listening, I'm always trying to think of ways to leverage and repurpose. And so I'm picturing, take this month's radio commercial and then make some sort of like animated slide. That way there's like a video component to it, and then just have it filtering through this month's 4-star reviews, 5-star reviews. And then you do a YouTube ad targeting people that are in your city and Google's predicting to move next, and then they hear your radio commercials. So it's a way to take your radio in other media.
I like it.
Yeah, man. Radio. Nice.
Very
I just
cool.
made a note of that. Cool.
So
Okay. Wow.
Question.
Oh, you
So
asked the question.
I think,
Go for it.
can I throw a question to, I would say, Goran, especially because you have a brokerage, right? So you're mentoring other agents that are also coming up. Not that they would do it in your market, but let's say I'm in a different market, no competition. If I was growing, if I was a solo agent, what layers would I need to add before you, looking back in time, before you would begin radio? Is that a fair question?
Yeah, I mean, like I said to you earlier, I should have done radio earlier. I was successful for many years and I could afford to do it. It's just pulling that trigger, signing that contract, right? That you're kind of, I would have done it sooner. I would have done it sooner even as a solo agent, as long as I had an assistant or two or a couple agents to help me with with the buyers and so on. But I would have done it sooner than later because it only enhances your image, it makes the phone ring. You get more social media reach. I would have done it sooner, way sooner, before I even grew the team and on my brokerage.
Rob, what about you? What advice would you say looking back now when you were starting out and now as you grow, what foundation do you feel like should be in place for an agent today?
I think a huge foundation is social media. I think that's the one thing that when I started wasn't around, and that is the easiest and cheapest way. But not everybody wants to, be on social media and discussing what's going on every day. It is tough to do that. But I think that is one aspect. And then, maybe start farming small areas and growing it from there. And then also do the radio at the same time. Do a little bit on the radio, a little bit of this, and you grow, and you grow slowly, but you'll get to a point where now you hit the big show. You're the guy,
Well, just to go a little bit ahead of that also, video. So I would layer the videos with the radio and the TV and other things, right? Have you heard us in the radio this morning? My friend Steve Bell is talking about the real estate market. Check it out tomorrow morning between 6:30 and 7, whatever that is, right? But I would layer the video, bring that video component to it, and then put a face to the name, right? So when they hear me on radio, they want to see you. It's that trust factor. They need to know you, trust you, and like you, right? So trust factor. So they get that by radio, but with your face being on social media. And like Rob said, my God, it's free, least expensive, depends what you want to do with it, right? But Instagram, Facebook, all those avenues are available to each and every one of us, free. I talk to my agents all the time, and I say to them, it's like hearing our voice the very first time. Some of us who are a little bit up there in age and a tape recorder, and you're like, do I sound like that? Yeah, well, that's what you sound like, right? And do I wish I had a bit of a manly voice like my 15-year-old son? I do, but I don't. This is what I sound like. And this is what I look like. I'm not going to change. Right? So get on radio, get on social media, doing videos, video, because you're all good looking people in your own minds. And that's all you need to know.
So I know a lot of people have the fear of dipping their toe in radio, but some people after this are still thinking, I want to get over that fear and still dip my toe in it. So if any of you actually are thinking of pushing forward with radio, maybe just chat the word radio. And then that way, Matt could possibly follow up with you as a call, just to give you like a one-on-one type of this is the idea for your area, your market. So it would love it. Yeah, that's great. A couple of people are doing it. That's awesome. And Matt, what's the benefit of, or guys, I'll ask everybody, the benefit of working with an agency like Matt has, because his agency helps real estate agents with getting them put on the radio and on TV. What's the benefit of paying that extra layer instead of just going directly to the radio and doing it yourself? And I bring that up because I know there's a big benefit. And I just want to hear from your perspectives what those benefits are.
They're experts in real estate radio. That's what it is. And they know exactly, they know the industry, they know the real estate industry, and they know what works and doesn't work. So they specialize in real estate marketing. So, and that's why they're the right ones to use.
You know, working with radio and television stations is a pain in the ass, right? They send you all kinds of crap. And look, I'm great at what I do. And I've learned a long time ago, stick to what you're good at, right? Stick to what you're good at. So this is what I do. Matt does this. So for us to write the scripts, the copyright, and you send it to the radio, and then they start tweaking it, sending it back to you, emails back and forth. I don't have time for that, right? I'm too busy focusing on what I'm good at. And you know what? Small words, little small words make a big difference. You know, Cheplack says all the time, you know, small hinges move big doors, right? Just like the words that we incorporate in our radio and television ads, right, are important. Just a small tweak makes the phone ring and give us a bigger online presence. So for me to think about this, I'm too busy. But let me share one most important aspect. One most important aspect. Think about this, folks. The wheel is round. Why do we need to reinvent the wheel? Why do I need to go to the radio station and sit with them and they say, well, what do you want to say? I don't know. What do you think I should say? Right? Of course, we have a concept of what we should say. But Matt, how many radio stations are you working with across the nation?
About 400.
400. So listen to this, 400. So Rob and I are just two of them. But there's 400 other individuals. And you know what? Those 398, they're smart too. They got good ideas. And Rob and I pick up those ideas through Matt. Hey, so-so's doing this and so-so's doing this. And he might say, hey, Rob from Hamilton's doing this, Hamilton, Burlington, and Goran from Windsor Chatham's doing this. And he passes on our ideas to them. But we get the other 398 city ideas from the other people. We couldn't get that, just him and I alone. That's the other magic of this. So we share ideas with each other and we get, hey, what's working in Dakota? What's working in Florida? What's working in, and by the way, Canada has a very small market for Matt, right? He's huge in the United States. And ladies and gentlemen, we learn lots from our brothers and sisters in the United States, right? So there's many of you listening here today. But the ideas that we learn are the ideas we step on. And by the way, if you hear an idea that's good, don't wait. Don't wait. Like Rob's at that seminar. They waited, Rob jumped on it, and that's why he's number 2 in the world. Way to go, brother.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
So, Matt, we'll let you end off here. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to wrap up just to value everybody's time. Matt, I know one thing you collectively do is a mastermind group with your clients, which was exactly what Goran just ended off on. And that's kind of what I was hoping to pull out. So that was magic how that whole thing worked out. So thanks, Goran, for intuitively knowing what I was trying to pick out there. And it definitely is that collective bird's eye view. And Matt, can you end off with just like, I don't know, however you want to end off with the types of masterminds you do or how people can reach out to you?
I posted the website down below. It's 4 words, radio and television experts.com. And I guess the thing I would say, whether it's on radio, whether it's on video, as was said, our enemy is like, I know Rob knows who his top competitors are. I know Gore knows who his competitors are. They're not who we think we are. Our top competitor is apathy. It's the consumer that thinks they can sell it on their own, the seller that doesn't think they need a realtor, or they can find a crappy realtor. That's still the higher percentage. So what I would say, whatever you do, if it's radio, if it's video, really have good headlines. our industry needs educators right now more than anything. They need good practical solutions to things. So, I mean, if we can help you do that on radio, great. We'd love to. But either way, whatever you do in marketing, just be positive about this market. Show opportunity. Show the solutions. And you know what? Then we all get better because of that.
That's awesome, man. So it's radioandtelevisionexperts.com. Goran and Rob, one thought for you guys for your team meetings in the future would be to say, hey, we're going to do a mastermind on the radio and we want to hear the ideas and get them to share stories of the struggle of like a client. And like last week, the deal was falling apart and this was what happened and this is how they fixed it, and kind of collect a couple of those stories every month. And then you can start reusing those for your future radio ads that you're doing there. So both Goran, Rob, thank you so much. Obviously, Matt, we couldn't do this without you. And I thank everybody for tuning in. I'm going to send the follow-up recording to everybody. And for those of you that have interest in hearing more about radio, you commented the word radio. If you didn't, do it again right now before we hang up. And I'll just make sure that Matt knows who that is so that he can actually reach out to you personally to give you a touch. So everybody else, you're going to get the recording. And there was a lot of people, there was between 120 and 130 that registered. And I got so many saying, I can't make it. I got to do the recording. So Matt, there's even more people that are going to be hearing your voice in the future. Rob, go jump in the lake, buddy. Goran.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, guys.
See you
really
guys.
Appreciate it. Nice meeting all of you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Everyone.
Perfect. Shad, before we bounce, can you print off the chat or get a copy of the chat? That way we can do like that Google sheet like we did before, and I'm going to follow up with people. Oh, there you go. Got it. Sweet. Okay. That's it. Bye, everyone.
Hey, if you want to close more real estate transactions, get more buyer leads, and get more seller leads, click this button right here. It'll take you to our real estate group coaching page. Also, if you like this video and want more, you can subscribe by pressing this, or you can check out some of my past videos here. Enjoy!